Hey everyone, Jeff here. I'm here with Simu from the Death Must Die development team. Hey Simu, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. Did you want to tell the viewers what you do on the Death Must Die team before we start?
Uh, yeah, so I'm a software developer, but I mean, it's a small team. We're four people, so I pretty much do a bit of everything. I'm the main audio guy as well, so all the sound effects and like the processing of the all the voice lines, I do that as well. I also dabble with story a bit alongside Ren, and just doing design work. That's something that each of us does because it's a big part of the game.
All right, that's awesome. That we do love the audio in to the game, so we're all very
Yeah, I have
appreciative to
to.
you.
There are some questionable sound effects. Not everyone likes, but yeah,
No, I think we all like Soda Can.
yeah, yeah. No, so Saga is great. But I was thinking about like the cat sounds.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Some
okay.
cat owners didn't like them.
I'm a cat owner and I didn't have a problem
Yeah,
with it, but
yeah,
I could see it. I could see it.
yeah. They're a bit too much, but I think they're fun. I don't know.
I think it's a little lighthearted. It's not too
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
But anyways, Simu has agreed to answer some questions about the upcoming patches and the developer update that was just launched that you guys put out a few days ago that slightly updated the roadmap from what you had since patch 2. Um One of my first questions was like after the Act 2 update and the change and like all the changes that were made in that, um how do you how do you and the team feel about the reception from the Act 2 patch? And has that changed the way you guys are gonna develop the game in the future, or your approach to patches in general?
So our strategy has always been to like release bigger patches with less frequency, mainly because we want to like completely redesign some systems, like the talent trees in Act 2. You can't really do it in small patches. You have to implement the whole talent tree, and you have to do it for all the heroes, and you have to balance it out. So doing those sorts of like big systems or big system changes requires bigger patches, and we do want to make interesting and big changes to our existing systems. So that's kind of how it goes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think I mean I personally love the patch. I think a lot of people were curious about the cadence, as some other games get a bunch of small patches very frequently, but definitely don't have massive system changes like you guys have had in each update,
Yeah,
which I'm going to be
uh,
asking about here in this once we get to the
yeah.
second part of this update. But
And we've been trying to do some smaller patches as well, like the two that we have upcoming on the roadmap. Those are kind of things that we've
I
managed to separate.
after looking at them, I'm about to ask you about them. I don't think they look very small to me. These look like
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
sizable patches for many other games without naming names.
Sure, sure. But like the act patches are meant to be like the big updates that add like an act, a new code, a new character, stuff like that.
So you think you're going to continue that cadence of like act patches, like big content patches with mass like bigger systems, and then you small balance patches like in the in between months. It's kind of the general plan.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
That's what we're thinking.
that sounds great, and I think that's just what everyone was curious about. Um, so the quality of life patch is scheduled for the 1st of August. It has a lot of things that have been requested. Is there anything on that? Is there anything that was posted on that on the Steam page that, or anything that was left out of the Steam page that you could talk about? as far as like other quality of life changes?
I don't think I can answer that.
Okay, that's fine. I could.
Because we're still not sure what's gonna make it into the patch.
Oh, okay.
So I don't wanna. Yeah.
That's
Um,
totally fair. I wasn't sure if that was one of those things um, that you had finalized yet, since that's kind of close.
yeah. Yeah.
All right, we'll skip that question. I'm just going to go to the next one. All right, so talking about the quality of life patch, I want to ask about item and talent loadouts. Did you guys have a plan for how many loadout slots we're gonna have per characters, and if those are going to have any sort of in-game types of cost, such as like respecking right now does?
You have to like the way we're thinking about it right now. You have to purchase the loadout for each character, and you can purchase, I think, up to 5 loadouts for each character. But
Five.
then just yeah, yeah. Um, but then you can just freely switch items between them.
Oh, okay, that sounds great. I think the main question was how many on each character, but I think five is plenty for each
Should
character.
be.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we can find a way to to ask for more. We will always
Yeah.
ask for more. The next question I had, what exactly are multi-equip items?
Uh, yeah, it's basically a way to equip an item to multiple loadouts or to multiple characters at once. So if you have like the revival ring, for example, maybe you want it on a couple of different characters and different loadouts, and it's just one item, so it will be pretty hard to kind of switch it around before
Okay,
each run.
all
So
right.
that's what the multi-equip system is. It's um, yeah, it's solving a problem that we're introducing with loadouts. So it has to come with this patch as well.
That that actually makes a lot of sense. I was curious if something like that was going to make it in here, and after you talking about loadouts, that makes a whole lot of sense. And that's also like super convenient, not having to switch around your waist belt to every character every time you start a run. So
Yeah, yeah.
that's pretty good. Um, let's see what's next. Oh, the stash upgrades to the stash were mentioned. Um, in addition to potentially more stash space, does that mean that we're getting stash search features?
So the thing with search is it's pretty complicated, and also if you're using like a Steam Deck or like if you're playing on a controller, it's kind of hard to do as well. It's something that works best for PC, but we're thinking of ways to kind of make the searching for items easier. But we're not sure exactly how to do it as of now. Uh, the stash upgrades means pretty much buying additional chests. So you'll be able to buy maybe like a second chest, use it to store your uniques, for example. You just can have that separation.
That's that is
So
exciting.
even more stash space in a
Okay.
nutshell.
Okay. No, I mean that sounds great. I mean we've all been asking for like a unique stash or 20
Yeah,
more
yeah,
tabs. Um
yeah. We've been
so
increasing the stash space with each update, just adding more and more tabs, and people keep asking for more. So
I remember when we had when we basically had none, and now we're since the
yeah.
Christmas update. Um so the search thing is potentially a future
Yeah, we were thinking
feature
about doing like some sort of sorting, like maybe I don't know, just like simple presets for searching, but like a full-blown text search, I think it's a bit too complicated for the
that
type of game that it is. We're not going full ARPG here. We're just kind of
yeah.
doing a roguelite take of it, so it's gonna be a lighter system.
So something more like closer to like a sort by item type sort of deal.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I think that's I think that's fantastic. Um I actually didn't have any more questions about the quality of life patch. It all sounds really nice. It's gonna make playing with builds a lot easier, I think. Juggling all that loot around. Did you have anything else to mention about that patch before I jump into the next part of questions here?
I guess you'll see soon enough. So yeah.
Yeah, only a few days now. All right, so after that patch, we have the procedurally generated update coming on the 1st, or at least that's what is scheduled. Are you guys locked in on that date?
September 1st. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Wanted to check on that before we ask. So the first part of it, this is a massive patch by the look of it compared to other stuff I've seen. I guess I'm just gonna start at the first item and just go down the list here. You guys are planning on procedurally generated waves. Could you explain what this is going to affect during a run? Just like as an example, is this going to affect the the 7 14-minute boss wave, like boss arenas, or is it more for like the random enemies throughout the run?
Yeah, so the bosses are still gonna be at like 7, 14, and 20 minutes. We're keeping that, but like everything else, we want to be procedural generated. So you can have unique runs. You don't always have like the ooze wave at 4 minutes in Act 1 and stuff like that. Just have more variety. And right now you can kind of gear yourself for the act, and you have the slimes coming in up to 4 minutes, so you kind of need AoE, and that makes the runs predictable. We want to move away from that and have more variety.
I I love it. That's like the learning curve of the game right now, is knowing what breakpoints you have to hit at each minute on each act, and mixing that up is exciting. Next up, you have improved item generation. Is this in reference to like the quality of items themselves that are dropping, or like the stat weights?
So what we're doing is we're kind of making some changes to the items in the affixes. We did some of that for Act 2 as well, but it's going to be a bigger change. So for example, I don't know if you remember, but in Act 1, you had like the expert offers on the helm.
Yes.
But right now they're a torso affix. And we're doing those changes and some more to kind of make items more interesting, to have less boring items that you kind of just sell. We're trying to make like the items either fit like a specific build or just have some more than one core affix.
Okay, no, so you're trying to make like
it's gonna get a bit technical, but yeah, basically polishing up the way items are generated to have more fun and interesting items.
So less consistent overall item generation. Like, you might not expect every chess piece to have, every master chess piece to basically have 22 expert offers on it, like it currently does, for example.
Yeah, no, that's a tricky one. We do want like mythic items to have the same value.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly because otherwise you just have to grind a lot more to get like the affixes that you need plus the master offers, right? You might get less master offers and kind of get annoyed because you want the max.
Yeah.
And so for mythic items, we want to have a bit more consistency, since that's kind of the end game, and you're just searching for affixes at that point. But for the other items, sure, you can go crazy.
Okay.
Have all sorts of different epic and rare items.
So we can expect to see some just global changes or improvements to the items coming
Yeah,
in that
we'll be
patch.
changing like affixes and what affixes spawn on different item types, stuff like that.
Exciting. That's gonna mix up the whole dynamic.
Yeah.
Next up, we have tier 2 items dropping in Act 1. I've been advocating for this since Act 2 patch dropped, so I'm like very excited to see this. Um, can you describe how you guys are going to do that, or is that a secret for the moment?
So the way we're planning to do it right now is to just have it. So you have to have beaten Act 2, first of all.
Right.
And then you also need to have like a certain darkness level. And we're not really sure on like what the darkness level is going to be. We need to play it out and see. So it's comparable to Act 2. But basically, after some darkness level, you're gonna get tier 2 drops. As long as you've also beaten Act 2. Because we don't want players to just stay in Act 1 and farm for tier 2 items.
No, I agree. I think that sounds great though, because like personally, after playing 150 hours, 170 hours of Act 2, I was ready to go back to the Act 1. I do I do like the aesthetic a little more myself, so the idea of just being able to switch between is really nice. And that leads me into, are you planning on the same type of feature for, the upcoming acts?
Yeah, I mean, when Act 3 drops, you'll presumably be able to farm the tier 3 items in the previous acts, as long as you have, the necessary darkness.
Finished it
Yeah,
at whatever difficulty is set. Okay, that sounds fantastic.
There is this small caveat, which is the unique items. And the problem with the unique items is that they're kind of flavor to the act. So you have like the gin lamp in the desert. So it's going to be weird for that to drop in Act 1. It doesn't make sense just war wise. So you'll still be getting tier 1 uniques in Act 1. Even if like the randomly generated items are tier 2. So that's kind of an important detail.
I I was about to follow up with that. Which I think is a cool thing, is that you can kind of target farm which uniques you're going after. Now, I believe Ren had mentioned before that you all don't plan on doing anything for like balancing the tier 1 uniques with the later game uniques, or like the tier 2 or tier 3 and so on uniques, until closer to like a 1.0 version of the game. Is that still the plan? Just kind of keep things how they are.
Yeah. I mean, we're gonna keep adding new uniques for each act, but they're pretty much set to the tier like of the act. So we might add like an upgrade system later on, but it's gonna be way down the line.
The down the road feature. Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. Just wanted to clarify, because I knew someone in the comments would ask.
And I don't know, some uniques are pretty powerful. I think like the rose is gonna stay strong until Act 5. It's just such a powerful effect. So I think it's cool to have like lower tier items still being viable.
I agree. I mean, I think Equilibrium is still the best sword in the game for Aberon, so
Yeah.
And that's just an epic from tier 1.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah. No, that's very cool. The next thing I had on the list here is you guys have new Act 2 locations and unique items. I wasn't gonna really ask anything about this, but if there's anything you wanted to mention, feel free. I assume Act 2 locations is like shrines and whatnot.
Yeah, we're adding some of the shrines that we didn't have time to finish. We had them planned out for the Act 2, but we didn't have time to finish all the locations. So we're finishing them up. We're gonna add them as part of this patch. And it's the same for the unique items.
Okay, very cool.
Just a bit more content to kind of close off the act.
Very nice. I was does that include increasing the healing from the cactuses in Act 2? This is a me question.
Yeah, maybe we should. Yeah, maybe we should increase that. uh, yeah. I think that was an oversight. Should be it should be getting fixed with like the balance updates.
Which is a good lead in to the next part of this, which is the main the main part of this questionnaire here is the balance changes. I could probably talk to you for hours and hours about it, but we'll try and just keep it straightforward here. So I think the first thing I wanted to ask, because I've seen a lot of comments all over the internet, is the plan to still have a capped difficulty for like items, and then the exceedingly hard difficulty in the future, like how we currently have. If you don't know and you're new to the game, currently Darkness 30 is the max rarity for items, and then you can raise that up to 100 if you so choose to, just for the challenge.
Yeah, I mean, with Darkness 30, you already get like full pack full of mythics by the end of the run. So I think we're gonna keep that at least for the foreseeable future. I don't know, like later down the line we might change it, but we don't have anything concrete right now.
Totally fair. Have you guys thought about increasing the overall difficulty of 3, or is that just of difficulty 30, excuse me? Or is that just gonna fall into the overall balance changes?
I'm not sure. This is something that you probably have to ask Ren. He's dealing with the balance mainly. I'm just helping out with the balance, but he's like the main guy for balance. So yeah.
No
I don't
worries.
know.
Whatever you can. No worries. I did see he mentioned that the current like time to kill the player was a bit too high in one of the posts. Um, is that something you guys have talked about, or is that mostly on him?
What do you mean? Like
Um,
player?
so in certain instances in Act 2, specifically, you can go from 100% to 0 in less time than you can react, basically.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
is there anything there you could talk about, or is that still something that he's?
it's basically a cursed design problem. I don't know if you know what the cursed problem in game design is. So it's a problem that a lot of ARPGs have, where you're just killing enemies for hours, and then just some random enemy flies in, just one shots you, and you die, and you're like, this is bullshit.
Yep.
And and the way you counteract that is you need to have like a couple of small hits. So enemies deal less damage, but they deal damage more frequently, and also like you have less heals. So you make a mistake here and there, and those things compound, and that's how you run out of health. And that's the other way a run could end. But like if you do that too much, then people say that the game doesn't have healing, and it's too punishing in that way. So you're either punishing the player by not giving them enough heals, or you just insta kill them with one hit, and both feel like bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's about finding that middle ground. But since you're playing an ARPG, like the stats go wild, and it's really hard to control that experience. So it's something that's really hard to solve. I don't know. There isn't a perfect solution. Some games do it in different ways. I guess we have revives and stuff like that to kind of mitigate that bad feeling. But at the end of the day, there is no perfect solution. You just have to just kind of feel where the middle ground is.
So safe to say you guys are just kind of trying to slowly move it in the slightly better direction each time. You guys do a pass.
Yeah. It's one of the
It's
most
hard.
difficult problems designing an ARPG roguelite mix that we're doing.
I think oh for sure. I think most of the people who are watching this have played their fair share of the early Diablos, Path of Exile, and just you get to a certain point in the game and you're doing great, and then your character's dead.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't play hardcore on those games anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. That sounds great. Have you guys talked at all about adjusting the early balance of the game? As far as like the pacing of the gods and how the characters come in, and a few skills seemed a little strong.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that we have kind of thought about doing to help with the early game, because a lot of people are not happy with like the first few hours, and it's also like we have too much RNG in some parts, so you might not get like a good weapon or something, or you might get an amazing weapon just by pure chance.
Yep.
And so that's a problem. We have some ideas how to tackle that, but I guess it's gonna be one of those things that we solve down the line when we have, like, for example, the new item generation is gonna help with that, right? We're gonna address it by doing changes to systems and thinking about that as well when we do that. So it's gonna be like a gradual process.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, no, I just wanted to bring that up because I know I've gotten some feedback about the early game myself, and did a few starting from 0 runs. I see some things that are mostly good, but the few feel bad moments, like you identified.
Yeah.
Not that it is a roguelike. Typically, I prefer the ones where you don't win on the first run or anything like that.
Yeah, I saw your first save video, so I know.
Oh, yeah.
If you play the game enough, you can pretty much beat it. So I don't think it's that hard if you know what you're doing,
right?
If you've played it before. But yeah, for new players, there's a lot of learning to be done in the beginning, and we don't have too much tutorials. We just kind of expect you figure stuff out as you go along. That's something that we also need to address once we just kind of finalize all the other stuff.
Yeah, I think that's like a further down the line feature. I mean, it's a fairly intuitive game, and I think the genres become big enough now that you kind of get the idea when you're going into it.
Yeah.
Maybe a note about the talents opening up or something. I saw some people like deep into Act 2 having not spent any talent points.
Oh wow.
It's like, oh no.
I mean, good for them. I mean, they
right?
can like beat Act 2 without talents. That's kind of impressive.
It is. One question from me. As far as balance goes, can you guys just remove insect scaling from the Act 2 insect mages caster ladies? Just their attack and move speed. It's too fast.
Yeah.
I'm too old.
Yeah.
I have to bring it up.
We're actually working on like improving the telegraphing and stuff like that for enemies. So we still want to crank it up on higher darkness levels. Maybe not too much though, but we still want to have like reactions be a thing on higher darkness levels. but yeah, generally for like zero darkness or just like some low darkness levels, it should be like a bit slower.
I do actually think it's at a pretty decent spot for darkness 30, but once you turn it up to, as you get closer to darkness 100, it stops being reactable
Yeah,
in its current state. Which for a while is fun, but yeah. Yeah, so that's all I had about the balance questions. Obviously, we'll be seeing more as you guys get closer to that and decide some things. So final questions here about Act 3. I assume there's not much you can talk about yet. But two things. Without spoiling it, are we going to be able to expect this in 2024?
Yes, yeah. I mean, that's the plan.
Cool.
We're not sure like exactly which changes are gonna be bundled with the act, so it's still like pretty flexible deadline, but yeah.
But you guys are pretty committed to getting it out this year.
Yeah. Even like Halloween or something like that.
Oh, okay. Earlier than expected.
Maybe a bit later, but
I'm not going to hold you to anything.
I don't want to make a promise because we're not sure yet. We have the other two patches. Of course. But yeah, we're thinking something along those lines.
Okay, I just wanted to get ahead of that because I think when you see to be announced, people get a little worried, especially with early access stuff. Yeah. But that's exciting. And my other question about this, on a scale of 1 to 10, how inspired by Act 3 of Diablo 2 is this third act going to be?
So you've seen the pattern of the desert, I guess. Yeah. Actually, I've seen very little assets for Act 3. Ren and Bernard are working on the designs, and I've seen some art, but I'm just focused on the quality of life and like the random enemy waves. So I haven't been looking at what they're doing for the Act 3. So I can't really say.
Understood. it's all right. I mean, you have your hands full. That procedural patch sounds like a lot. But yep, that's all I had the question wise for about this devlog. Do you have anything else you wanted to add?
I don't know. I think that's it. If you have any more questions.
I did not. I think hopefully we can do this again when, later down the line once you guys have, maybe before the procedural patch if anything new comes up, and if not, definitely again before the Act 3 patch.
And we do want to keep this roadmap live, so when we have some new stuff, we're gonna push it to the bottom. We're gonna, keep track of our current progress. So
sounds good. I think we're all looking forward to it. It is excited for you guys how well the game's done. It still shows up on the top 100 like Steam Deck chart every month. Is good, really good.
And we are not Steam Deck verified, by the way. So this is also something that we are working on, getting that verified badge. It's mostly due to some text being too small, so it's minor stuff, but yeah, it's something that in the works.
I'll have to do my part to advertise that, hey, it works fine. I've played hundreds of hours on the Steam Deck.
Yeah. I got a Steam Deck myself just to kind of play test on it, so it's been fun. Yeah,
it's a good time. But yeah, that's all I had for questions for today. So thanks, Simu, for coming on. Hey y'all, Editing Jeff here. I kind of messed up the outro to the video, but that was all the questions that we actually had for Simu. So anyways, I want to thank the Death Must Die team and Simu specifically for coming on and talking with me about it. Hopefully we get to do this again in the future. Make sure you go check out Death Must Die if you haven't played it before. It's fantastic. A lot of good stuff on the horizon. There's a Steam link in the page if you want to go check it out. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all later. Have a great day. Jeff out.